Peace and blessings, y'all. This is your boy Gerald. It is Thursday, 29th, 2016. I hope that's right. I know we're at the end of the month, and I know some of y'all are gearing up. Correction, Thursday the 30th. But we're at the end of the month, y'all. You're starting some of y'all have already started embracing your summer break. Commend you on your journey thus far. I hope that wherever you are safe, you are blessed, always grounding your feet, speaking your truth, but always placing God first in everything you do. I'm putting this out um, for a couple reasons. Number one, Queens, you know I love you. Kings, I'm standing with you. And I want nothing best but success for your life. And I try to do things in balance. I love nothing more when I interact with you, family. And that's why I always throw the disclaimer: if you're going through something and you need a second opinion, you know how they say, measure twice, cut once. Drop me a line. Worst thing's going to happen is you'll get a prayer or a new perspective. Because, see, what we're talking about is your life. We're talking about the you that you don't know yet, because you are on the journey, and that journey will be your testimony. It will be the markers that will be the history as well as the education from those who will come from behind you. So the work is required, because there is going to be someone you may not get to know that is connected to you either by blood or bone, that is going to interpret, embrace, and be influenced by your actions. But I've seen a lot of activity off my last video, and I want to clarify something with everyone. If you have not realized that my position, because it's my life, I'm very passionate about our community. I'm very concerned about the direction our society is going. But more importantly, I'm very vigilant on how it impacts us on an individual basis. But I also cannot negate that, see, I can't live your life. I can't. And I understand the importance of knowing the power of discernment, understanding what and how free will impacts us all. I'm a firm believer, y'all, that nothing happens just because. If in 2016 you are still using the word fate as a means to understand what is being revealed to you, I'm here to tell you there's something more greater. There's something that is being overlooked, because it's from the spiritual realm. See, you're a spiritual being before the flesh. I know y'all know that. I have a lot of very brilliant people that have honored me by being a part of this channel. But I'm a firm believer of this, y'all. I know sometimes not every day is going to bring sunshine. It's going to rain. There may be seasons where all you want is to have that foundation to understand where you are in the moment. So we can't fall on the crutch of saying, well, if it was meant to happen, it would have happened. You do yourself a disservice of that, because there are two spiritual forces at play for your life, for your attention. And far too many times we don't take note or give honor to what is being shown. If you're spending one moment holding on to regret, holding on to some pain that has more or less taken a life of its own because it's robbing you of yours, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because there's something far more and required for you. You you weren't born on this planet to just eat, take up air, and just sustain life. No, 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 no. But if you're not doing the investment to nurture you, to invest in you, you won't understand what your purpose is, because you won't understand the direction your life is on. Think of it this way. You know how when you go to the airport, a lot of airports have those uh, escalators that instead of going up or going down, they just speed you along the corridor to where where you got to catch a plane. Or don't you notice that's a similarity of what's going on in your life? Have you noticed that? Think about the things that you're not acknowledging or should be grateful for. Like, for example, think about that jam you were in. You had no clue how you were going to resolve it, but in the intended time and moment, even though you didn't deserve it, God brought a way when there was no way. Even in times of loss, even in times of pain, even in times of rejection, because I know there's plenty of y'all going through rejection, and that's done a doozy on your identity. You don't know if you're coming or going. All you want is to feel safe. Some of y'all have the understanding of desiring inner peace, but you don't know how you go about possessing that. Well, it's right there the whole time, because everything you need is found in you. But to unlock that, you must be transparent. And that's going to require courage. And I believe that far too much, far too long, excuse me, y'all, we've allowed things to take a pass. We've allowed things that should have been addressed or questioned. We allowed that moment. And you knew the moment. That's the thing. You knew, but you chose to be silent. I've come to learn this. Anything that is divinely meant to come to pass, even if you try to throw a monkey wrench in the situation, you notice you don't progress, or you see the same scenario through a new audience. But in the back of your mind, you're like, I've seen this before. Two things are occurring at that moment. One, to validate, did you get the lesson? Did you gain the wisdom? But more importantly, what you're watching is the power of free will, because you're in a position where you have to choose. And I believe far too many people have been standing on that crossroads with bated breath, saying, if I just had one more day, if I could just hold on to this moment just a little longer. But then you come to understand that is given to you and your life doesn't progress. We know that as a season. What's being required is that little boy and that little girl that lives inside you. See, let's make this clear. Because your hair follicles turns another color, or the melanin or the collagen in your skin starts to become stiff. That's a validation in itself to let you know that, hey, look here, you're not promised tomorrow. You're supposed to seize the moment now. Carpe diem, for those who know. But what is a wasted blessing? A wasted blessing is a promise unfulfilled. That's like someone yelling in a hallway, expecting an answer to come back. No, it's time. And it's become, it's, I don't know if y'all notice this, because I don't want to sit up here and I try to pick my words very carefully, but I can't, because I'm nothing but a vessel, and whatever he wants me to convey to the intended heart and mind, it's gonna register inside you. You know that, I know that, because that's God. You don't live your life to play second rate. That's why I use the term society is filled with a bunch of cubic zirconian people. And it's sad because, see, the world could change just like that if people would decide to acknowledge who they really are. But see, that takes courage now, doesn't it? And all that does is give a platform for the things that you do not need a little bit more footing. This brings me to you, my kings, because society wants to emasculate you. I'll repeat myself. Society wants to emasculate you. You was always deemed a threat because you are a man. You have the ability to produce life. But there are far too many little boys in men's bodies that do not see their capabilities and surrender those to their potentials, only to squander the moment. See, now, more than ever, there's a lot of agendas going on. One is to silence the role of the male position. Now more than ever, you have an alarming rate of women claiming the banner of feminism. And I kind of smile at that because a feminist is only a woman that has been hurt, who has chosen to take a platform, not in her best light, but will not speak her truth. She's wounded. And she has to deflect her emotional state, except inside her. So you got a lot of, so what I'm saying, Kings, you can't expect her to pull the weight when you ain't doing it yourself. The byproduct of male and female relationships has become very, very tattered. For those that are in their late 30s, they're in their 40s, their 50s, blessed to see their 60s and beyond. Society's getting scary now, isn't it? For those in their 30s, if you don't like what you're seeing now, imagine if you're blessed to see the age of 70s, what it'll be, what the family structure will be, and the roles and dynamics that will be played out. And I really believe part of it has to do with the Jezebel spirit, because I never thought in a million years that the male role would take such a docile position. I mean, how can you call yourself a man and when you won't get off the couch? But you have a love affair for your gaming system instead of your intellect. I know, my kings, there is no manual, there is no template on how to be a man. It's like doing it in the dark, finding your way. But let me tell you something. The moment that you decide that you're tired of not claiming your life, can the clarity come? Now, on one side, I do understand some of the positions that women have been echoing through the generations. I do. I empathize and sympathize. However, we as a community somewhere had to sign off on behavior being presented. See, you can't get mad at somebody that is showing you what you don't need and you condone it. You're part of the problem. You're not yielding a solution. And I also understand that where a person's journey begins is not where they will end it. People change every day. But the difference on that change is they have to make a conscious decision to move. I'm not meaning literally, I mean emotionally. See, I never thought in a million years that I remember when they called men super predators, especially little young black boys. I remember where somewhere along the way, the term being henpecked was a covert joke that was shared amongst the female community. I remember those days. But yet in the same breath, I would always hear this. To be in my life, I desire a man's man. So what's the definition of a man's man? And someone told me, she said, well, Gerald, a man's man is simply put, he won't put up with my crap. He holds me accountable for my actions, and that keeps me upright. But I never forgot that conversation. And over the years, I remember taking that apart. And I said, well, how can you call yourself a man's man if you have no connection to yourself? How can you call yourself Mr., that acronym in the front, if you don't have a spiritual connection with God? Because, see, intimacy is formed when you have a connection with God. Now, I'm going to sit up here and throw this out because I know that there are going to be some people that will try to put things in a little box because that's what they want to focus on. But let me just interject this. I know that God is a loving and jealous God. And I also know that as omnipotent as he is one of many names. But if you don't have a connection with him, guess what? You ain't gonna know you either. So does it surprise you that you feeling hostage in your own mind? You don't know if you should go or stay. You're in flux, but you want peace. So when I had that conversation and this young lady spoke that, I did not hear he has to be a spiritual man. He has to have a connection with God. Now, mind you, today's society, many women do not have a connection with the higher power. They don't. They don't. So they're not protected. They're not protected because they're not discerning. They're not discerning because they don't know who they are. And they're trying to fake it to make it or wing it, as we choose to use, but refuse to be accountable or transparent to themselves. Let me throw this disclaimer out real quick, y'all, because what I really want to say, I can't, because there would be some words that would rub people wrong because they're not going to be correct. And I'm trying. I'm really, really trying, because let me tell you what. You know how I always use the analogy? If your elders had the ability to come back in your life, would they embrace you with a hug or would they embrace you with a switch? Because you carry the legacy on your back wherever you go through your actions. And I'm hearing, I feel this in my spirit right now. I'm hearing the term, you wasn't raised that way, so why you faking? Why you perpetrating a fraud? Because deep down inside, you weren't built that way. But I understand. No direction is no understanding. No understanding is no template. So therefore, you can't have a foundation to build up because it's not grounded. And that's the problem that has been perpetual for many, many centuries. How do you know where home is where you don't know your history? And the history that you seek is not protected or treasured. So you're grabbing out straws of speculative conversations or censored truth. But needless to say, we never take that in consideration. Even when it comes to our health, that's why you see this far too many times play out over and over and over again. You see people that are hollow inside. We know them as being shallow. You know why they do that? Most people are shallow or choose to have that position because they're looking for some means to inspire change within them, even though good or bad, because they don't know who they are. So they're going to go off of whatever the practice is being exhibited at that moment. The living constant, that's the environment. But if it contradicts what you're feeling here, interpreted here, but not demonstrated here, that ain't where you're supposed to be. It doesn't matter who your audience is. The person that matters the most is the person looking at you in that mirror. See, the person that is in the mirror don't care what you have on, what you have in your pockets. All they care about is, am I going to be all right? Which requires preparation, which requires transparency. How about being authentic? Because at least when you're authentic, you have a position, you have a choice, and not everybody is going to agree with it. That's why people have opinions. You can also agree to disagree, but you're still causing an action. So, Kings, not to stray, I get a lot of feedback from my male subscribers, and one of the concerns is they don't like the condition our society is going on. And we are witnessing environmental as well as social genocide on a daily basis. And it's sad because last time I checked, they're not making guns in your neighborhood, in your residence. They're not poppy fields in your neighborhood or whatever the latest greatest is. I know that right now that and I'm very surprised, there's a pandemic going on in the drug scene. There's this drug called Flocka that is literally erasing people's brain cells. For those who may be curious, just go up here and put in the word Flocka, and you will see it. It looks like Night of the Living Dead because this drug is more accessible now, more than ever, and cheaper for those who are into the drug scene. I personally, this is my drug, and this is just as bad. But the one thing that I've always questioned was the person you are today, do you have the faculties and have you done the preparation for the person that you're going to be in 30 years. Because those side effects of what you're feeling now are going to increase in 30 years. You got to understand that there's no money in cures, there's money in sustainment. So they need patience. They need people to continue to, use those copays and self-medicate and not take care of themselves. They prefer that. That's why the things that you need cost far more money compared to the stuff that is out there that will only deteriorate your health over a period of time is everywhere. Kings, I stand with you, but you have to do the work. You can't play the backfield anymore, because by playing the backfield, the environment that we have in our communities are byproducts of the things that we have lacked, the things that we chose not to do. How about speak your truth? How about say no? You know that word no has, well, all words have power, but that word no does not mean forever. It actually means under review. You don't like what is being presented? Say no. If that person sees your value and worth, they will correct it so it is acceptable when presented. But most people don't even know their voice. The only time they get to hear their voice is when they finally break that proverbial straw. They're tired of being tired. But see, the thing about it is the signs were already there. They were already there, but we choose to overlook it. We choose to choose our battle, so to speak. No, that's nothing but fear. Finally everything's a reality. And the reality is that your environment can be better the moment that you contribute in it. I'm not talking about literally outside your community. You can easily volunteer, what if that's what, but I'm talking, let's do grassroots. Let's get back to you. Just get back to you. Start with you. Work on you before you criticize the next person, because that makes you a hypocrite when you don't have your affairs in order. I know I'm talking to somebody. And the reason I say that, because you deserve better. Let me make this clear. There is a short line when it comes to good men, but there's even a shorter line for those who have a connection with God. The mindset of, well, you know what, I want to ride or die. How can you have a ride or die when she has no connection to herself? All that's only thing that's going to come out of that is when the communication die or the agenda of what you failed not to do, she gonna ride on out. People do it all the time. But let's talk about that. That may be your blessing in disguise. Because see, my kings, we have forgotten there are more to us than what's found in our wallet, the possessions that we materially acquire. Something more. Because see, you were birthed on this planet with a specific responsibility the moment you took your first breath. See, you were reared as a male, so you have testicles. So you have part of the blueprint that will come from you. It starts with you. So your actions are very important, but they have lifelong effects. That's why it's very important to know who you are. Because see, when you decide to fall back in love with yourself, you can get past those challenges. How about those fears and blocks? Because what you'll be doing is reformulating what we know is your character, your integrity, the founding blocks of why the term Mr. is earned. You can't call yourself a man because of what you make or the children that you produce. That's not a boy can do that. We see that all the time. But here's the kicker. See this all around the world too. Society also knows your placement as a man because you carry your lineage on your back every day. That's why in certain societies and cultures, they say, well, hey, there are far too many women on this planet, not enough men, because men are being cut down every day. Men are self-destructing themselves. And some don't even know truly who they are. See, your presence is needed because your presence is going to influence those who are going to walk the path you have blazed. So you might be in a season where you just can't get right now, can you? I guarantee you, if you just take a step back and look at what are the contributing factors in that belief, you'll change them. How about this? Stop running from your emotions and embrace them. Some of you have so much pain inside you, it has taken a life of its own. It may have started because you longed to have a connection with your mother or your father, and that wasn't given. So you had to try to find love and acceptance wherever you could. And it's cost you. You've had your fair shake, if not more than the average Joe, but you still wake up to another day. That right there should let you know there's some more work to be done, brother. Your purpose has to be fulfilled. But see, I also know that because we live in a speculative world, we are deemed not being a man because society wants to base manhood on possessions, not connection. So does it surprise you? Does it surprise you that every woman that has been a part of your life all have the same trait? They may all look the same. They may all act the same. Just a little difference. And you might not have realized the commonality. There is a spiritual influence, or it could be a demonic presence, because demons are real, y'all. You sitting over there saying, well, if I never mess with that female over there, my money would be right. Well, guess what? Nobody told you to say hello, now did you? Nobody made you jump in that bed. Nobody twisted your arm when you knew that was not what you needed. You signed off on it. So the byproduct is now we got a lot of women out there that don't know themselves, don't know their directions, and they have taken on the traits of the bad boy. She don't even respect her health. She sleeps around just as much as you do. All under the rules and guise of soulmate. You better check that, because that's a soul tie. Because anybody that will not see their worth will not respect yours. So there's work that is required. If you are going through life saying coulda, woulda, shoulda, and not one time putting your foot down to say, I am, blame yourself. But just know this. You'll also understand that the people that connected you share one thing in common. The commonality is y'all all think alike. So the same things that you may have done to Charlene, Susie gonna do that to you. The same things that was required by Sarah, you're gonna demand that from Tanya. See, everything comes full circle, man. But if you don't have a relationship with God, you can't be protected. And just maybe, when you start to add up, how about add up all that money you've blown? All on a lie. But see, that's how truth is. Truth is exactly what it is. It cuts both ways. It just depends on the direction and the position that you see it. I'm going to tell you like I told the queens yesterday. You're not a has-been. You're not a regret. You're not a disappointment. But you are delaying your direction and purpose every moment you choose not to love you. Because you can't respect yourself if you don't love yourself first. And your self-esteem should not be based off of whose legs are wrapped around your hips. I know I'm talking to someone. So let's talk about this. Some of y'all have been moonwalking in place because you have this mindset of, well, the one got away. Or, well, she put a number on me that really hurt me, and you say, well, you know what? I'm not going to talk to anyone. But look, let me tell you something. Even in pain, blessings come. Because one thing I know about God, he still loves you. If he didn't love you, you wouldn't be hearing this. You wasn't guaranteed to wake up this morning. You weren't guaranteed to make it home. So it is the little things that you should be grateful for. And let me tell you something. Take note in your environment. If you're in an environment that does not cause inspiration for growth, empowerment of direction, that's not where you're supposed to be. Because misery loves company. If you putting your life on the back burner because of what she did, what your family did to you, because I know some of y'all got some wounds that go back to your childhood. But guess what? Those wounds will not heal until you address them. How about forgive yourself? How about you atone for the people you have knowingly or unknowingly hurt? Because that's the only way you're going to free yourself. It ain't nothing worse for somebody to be going through depression, regret, stunting their life, and the person that it was the cause for don't know and don't care. If anything, you should be grateful that you don't have to deal, because see, there's a lot of people that don't have the courage and they'll just stay where they are not wanted. Actually, it should be where they're needed. But see, guess what? Even in an intended time or moment, God will make sure all lessons, all breakthroughs, and all protection occurs when it's deemed, even when you don't deserve it. I know there's somebody saying that, man, you talking about the other night. Boy, yeah. If you're in a position where you're looking at your mortality, you know darn well that ain't where you're supposed to be. But think of it this way. You should smile because guess what? There's still opportunity to embrace you. You should smile because this time should be a time of investing who you are in who you are and preparation. I want you to understand something. If you take the position to align somebody in your life that has no spiritual connection, do yourself a favor, mark that calendar date, and put under this, it's going to fail because there's no covenant there. There's no covenant there because it's not blessed. So if it's not blessed, it's not yoked. So if it's not yoked, you can't build off of it. So guess what? Just like a resource, once the resource is over, depleted, they toss you to the side. But be grateful. Be grateful though. Because see, these people don't deserve to hear you breathe. But know this, there was something about you that caused interest. There was something about you that was alluring that they chose not to pass by. So you can't take the rhetoric, because far too many people do this. You allow someone to influence not only your directions, but how you see the world, your perceptions. Little do you know, that is nothing but a deflection on them. But they don't have the courage to admit it to themselves. So once again, misery loves company. But let's look a little deeper, and I'm going to wrap this up. When you decide to do the work, when you decide to take accountability for your life, when you decide to forgive yourself, when you decide to take credit for the things you need and willing to commit, you know what's going to happen? You'll be made new. The people that mean, that see your worth, see your value, that will inspire you, will empower you, they will be revealed because these people were delayed for a reason. They weren't going to allow you to squander what was divinely meant the whole time. And guess what? There may be some of y'all right now that you caught up in the club scene and this online dating. I'm a firm believer of this. First of all, online dating is just another means to make money off of you. But see, people don't communicate. They have poor communicational skills. But there's an integrity issue because when you think the things that really matter, shouldn't that be a conversation between you and that person, as well as being able to see them and interpret what is being exchanged? That's what worth and value it is. But see, we live in a ultra sexual society now. Society wants you to burn up, burn out. not see your work. That's why now the average sexually active woman has had over 60 to 100 experiences. But because she doesn't see her worth and value, she can't speak her truth because it's embodied by shame. So, King, let me throw that out too while I got you. When's the last time you got a checkup? When's the last time you got blood work done? Because she looks like a dime, her health might be a 2. And DNA is not prejudice. And I really believe that's why, what's her name? Dr. Intimacy is her name. She's on YouTube. She has a book out, um, spiritual STDs, and she coined the phrase sexually transmitted demons, because that's what demons do. Demons look for people that do not know who they are, do not have a relationship, a spiritual relationship, that are pretty much at risk. They look for a host and they use that host to further the satanic agenda. That's why when she you're kind of thrown like, man, she's like milk and honey, but her attitude is evil. She got a demon in her. And she got that demon from somebody else. And until you can be authentic with yourself, forge that connection with God, well, you know what inner peace is all about. And see, here's the thing. You'll be able to finally speak your truth too, because I've also come to understand this. See, when you're able to speak your truth, 2 things gonna happen. 50% of the people gonna hear what you got to say and gain insight, and 50% are gonna leave you the hell alone because they realize the jig is up. The void that blocked you. If you're spending time trying to say, well, where the hell is she? You ain't supposed to be with her. I know I'm talking to somebody. That's why I always say words do have power, because I guarantee you the conduit that connected you to begin with was the fact that at one time you either thought or spoke, man, I wish I had me a girl. Well, guess what? There was like one girl coming up, and she's going to be like all your fantasies, all your desires. But she's going to make your life a living hell. That's why soul ties exist. To teach you to understand what is a want compared to a need. Love does not hurt, y'all. It doesn't. But I'm gonna tell you what was required. See, if you choose to live a lie, everything about that lie is gonna hold you back. It's no coincidence every time that you're with these people, your money takes a blip. There's a hardship to come right behind it. Why? This God's way of letting you know, hey, that ain't what you want, player. But more importantly, guess what? The person that's supposed to divinely walk with you, her, she, the one, you are willfully self-depleting yourself by giving yourself to people that will never see you as their tomorrow. But you don't understand that because you caught up with what she did, the trick that she did to you last night. But you don't understand there were many. She had to learn from somewhere. So when she turns around and says, I've never done that, she's telling the truth. The truth is she hasn't done it with you or won't do it with you because she already has someone doing that for her. Misery loves company. So Kings, does it surprise you why there is so much ratchetness going on? Because you got a lot of people believing their own lies, trying to build a life on a lie, which only results in pain. I know I'm talking to someone. The moment that you decide to see your worth, your life, perspective, and direction will change. The price is those who don't deserve to hear you breathe won't have access to you because no matter how hard they try, divine intervention is in play. That's why you're probably like, every time I try to call her, there's always a distraction. That's to let you know that you ain't supposed to be talking to that person. And it only intensifies because you don't see your worth. Yes, granted, I know there'll be a lot of women out there saying, I don't need a man. You're right. You need a spiritual man. But he can't be revealed to your life until you have done the work yourself. Each one teach one, but we are what we attract. So if there's nothing but drama in your life, it's because there's drama in your spirit. The question is, will you be honest with yourself today to look at what needs to be corrected, what needs to be healed? Take the stopwatch off your life. If you're using opportunity of being a serial dealer, especially now, you have a lot of people walking. Women today walk around like they in heat, willfully putting themselves on display, only waiting for the highest bidder or the who has the bigger, better deal to usher in that next disappointment. That's not your walk, never was. So keep this in mind, King. You got a responsibility. You got to hold your own bag because that bag has your last name on it, but what's connected is your legacy and lineage. So love yourself. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Let today be the day that the pain stops because you decide to speak your truth and love yourself more. I guarantee you, when you decide to love yourself more, like fleas off a dog, watch them run. Because there ain't nothing worse for someone to come to realize that these people are walking in their truth and they've been exposed. See your worth. Be blessed.